Yeah, and it is kind of nice though. I mean, Andromeda is coming up, and a lot of people feel that that's really favored to Protoss because it's such a big map that you can end up just sort of crawling all over as Protoss, and for Terran it can be a little bit hard to get that third and fourth gas. But I still like a lot of the abilities to be aggressive on that map. You can do some really obnoxious abuse with dropships, especially behind those natural expansions. You can end up taking the islands pretty quickly, which is something that although players who play more standard tend not to do, I would not be surprised if Casper ended up doing that this following game. So I mean, I think it allows for a lot of the antics that Casper likes to do, but again, Fenix, he's just so solid. I mean, he played so well. I mean, what are some your thoughts about the last game?
Well, I think Casper definitely took a build order advantage, and I think it was definitely nerves. In the opening section of the game, when those Dragoons were doing that much damage, the tank was siege in the wrong place, the depot blocking, the add-on,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that I think really shows nerves that Casper had. But if we look back at the Dreven game, I think he played better when he kind of went freestyle mode and didn't do kind
Uh
of
huh.
siege
Uh huh.
expand or FD. So as you said, you're down a game here, and this is a map that favors Protoss. I think this is the perfect time to throw out your two fact or throw out your dropship play or some sort of cheese to try to get back. And if you're more comfortable with that, then go back to what you know.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because it didn't occur to me at the time. Casper does love these crazy sort of openings, but in last game we saw him play so standardly. We saw him do that FD push. So I mean, it's kind of funny to think that maybe playing Orthodox is outside your comfort zone. But I think that if you try to do that sort of conservative opening, which is not in line with how you normally play, and it screws up, that can result in just a sloppy game altogether. So I'm hoping that we can see some cool stuff going on in this game on Andromeda. So what are some of the openings that you like to see on this map, or that you have seen a lot on this map?
Well, as Protoss, I always feel like 12 Nexus PVT is perfectly safe and a really strong opening. Unless you're scared that you're gonna get all in, I would really open that as Protoss. And Terran, I mean, your options are kind of a little more limited. You can do the aggressive way, but I mean, if we weren't talking about Casper, I would suggest just Siege Expand. But with
Mm-hmm.
Casper, I mean, two fact port, I would want to prefer to see something like that on this map.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and jump right into game two and continue talking a little bit about these map styles. And we will now go ahead and begin the countdown here for game two of Casper vs. Phoenix on Andromeda. And already, for any of you who have just tuned in, we already have Casper down 0-1 to Phoenix. Phoenix was able to take game one. And here, already, this is interesting to me, these starting positions, because, if Terran does want to take that island, it's going to be not only pretty close to his Protoss opponent, but also he's going to, get the opportunity to deny his Protoss a chance to take the island, because I know taking the island is popular with a lot of players who open with any sort of Reaver harass.
Right, and also if you were vertical positions, the Terran likes that because as he's pushing vertically, be it on the west or east side of the map, he has access to those 3 and 9 o'clock expansions. But in this situation, as he's pushing horizontally, he gets no benefit from that. There's no extra expansion he gets for setting up a line of tanks.
And that's a good point. And Protoss obviously is really happy because if Protoss wants to take the left expansion at 9 o'clock, he gets to expand away from the Terran push. So, I mean, already, in terms of just ground expansions, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with Protoss. I really would like the Terran on the other side of the map, though.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised here if we just look at kind of what information we can draw from the opening builds. Almost every Terran these days builds the first depot right underneath the command center so that those SCVs pop out a little farther to the right, but we see Casper isn't doing that. And that kind of shows me that he's not going kind of textbook. He's not falling into the trap of just doing what everyone else does. He kind of does his own thing, and
Mm-hmm,
that's the way
mm-hmm.
it's going to be.
Yeah, and I'm also really interested to see this super early probe scout again from friendly neighborhood Phoenix, who is under the alias Midget Toss for this game. And he is going for that very early gateway. There's a number of things he could do here. Anything I think that involves a fast expansion would be ideal, because, as you were saying, if you can just 12 Nexus straight up at your Mineral Natural, there's not really so much that your opponent can do about it. So I'm curious. I mean, what sort of opening do you think will happen after we've seen this early gateway instead of the 12 Nexus?
Well, I think he's opening like this because his probe scout still hasn't found anything, and the longer it takes, probably the safer we're gonna expect to see Fenix opening. So core going down now. There's no zealot to block the scout. That's perfectly valid. He'll probably open up one gate range or even two gate, and then look to take a more safer expansion. That worked for him in game one. I see no reason why he would switch it up in game two.
Looks like we are going to see Casper be a little bit more on top with his factory timing. Before, he let his money get pretty high, but now he's building the factory pretty much on time, maybe slightly later, but, you know, no big deal. Everything seems to be going as normal. And unfortunately for Fenix, he ends up scouting his opponent last, so again, that's always the most uncomfortable thing to deal with in any tournament situation, is just not knowing. It takes so long to get to your opponent's base.
We can see Casper is a little off with his depot timing here again. He's getting supply stuck this early in the game by quite a big margin. He wants to make some SCVs out of this command center, but the two Marines stopping that, I would have expected him to cancel that Marine, make another SCV this early in the game, but looks like he's not on top of that. And taking a look back in Fenix's main, he's got the Dragoon coming, a Zealot coming over actually, and range just started, about 5% done in that cybernetic score.
Yeah, I mean, already a good position for Fenix to be in. He's playing, like, as standardly as possible. And look at this, first Zealot coming up, the Marines just take 2 shots and immediately whip right around. But there's really good placement way back in the main of Casper, so I think he's just going to have the nice advantage of being able to retreat back there. But, ooh, picking off a Marine. Not the position you want to be in. But look at this nice little nook and cranny you can get back in there.
Letting his SCVs die here, that's completely unnecessary. Now the Zealot says, alright, my job is done, I'm getting the hell out of here, and just books it out. No, it was just a little juke, sacrificing himself. But taking a look in the machine shop, we've got mines coming again, so this is going to be some sort of FD push again. But another depot missed by Casper. What are you doing, man?
Ugh, man, what an uncomfortable... And a starport going down. Huh, maybe he'll... Oh, yeah, he ends up canceling an SCV, so that way he can build a Vulture right away, but... Oh, no, he builds the other SCV. Let's see if he ends up trying to cancel something, because right now he's just getting the message that his supply's been blocked. He does opt to cancel the SCV, and is starting that supply depot just now. Oh, God, what an uncomfortable spot to be in.
Yeah, you really don't want to be like this early in the game. And we look back in Fenix's main, he's playing very safe, and I like that in this position. He's done a little damage. He feels pretty comfortable here. So he's adding a second gateway, adding a robo, and he's probably just going to go into observers again, 2-gate observer. And now he's getting the message from that probe under attack that there's 5 Marines and a tank streaming towards his main base.
You know, it's kind of funny. I'm almost concerned about Protoss' play, because it's just so safe on this map where, you know, you pretty much just get a free mineral natural. We see the FD push coming forward, doing much more damage than it did before. I mean, the Marines and the tanks are doing a great deal of damage. We do see a mine getting planted at the ramp, and the Dragoon glitches that ends up taking the mine hit in full. Oh, that's so brutal. And we do see this tank and these Marines are able to clear out these 2 Dragoons. I'm actually impressed at Casper's ability to have done that much damage, and the dropship's already en route too.
Yeah, I like that, and I'm surprised he's not getting siege here. He's still pushing forwards, laying some mines on that ramp. 2 probes here are gonna block that up. But yeah, as you say, a bit of an uncomfortable situation this time for Fenix. Dropship gonna be out soon, and I'm so surprised he's getting Vulture speed. I guess he really wants to rally here and do some big damage early on.
Yeah, he's really pumped to make sure he can start doing the Vulture harass and, like, never let up no matter what. We do already see that, you know, very good transitioning by Fenix. He can't take his expansion soon, so he's just going to go ahead and get Reavers. Let me rephrase that. He could take his Mineral Natural anytime he wanted to, but I think he's probably going to be gearing up to take that Gas Expo. But, you know, I was a little concerned about this opening, because, again, it's, like, so safe that he might be throwing a little bit of an advantage away, because, you know, the Terran can easily take his own Mineral Natural, and then easily take his own expansion. But, you know, apparently Fenix knows his opponent a little bit too well.
Oh, look at this! The dropship was loaded right in the corner range of that observer. Dragoons coming right back. This is a death trap for these Vultures. They're gonna come streaming in. Hello, 5 Dragoons. Gonna shut that down right away, and that's just so unfortunate that he flew right over that observer when he was moving out.
Yeah, good response though by Casper. He's just running back and planting mines up here, and a Dragoon falls to the mines. Ouch! I mean, that's already a pretty nice benefit. I mean, now all of a sudden these Dragoons are kind of tied into the main base. I thought that those Vultures would just whip right back around, but instead they just end up having to stay put, and one even glitched into that mine, as we mentioned earlier, so... Oh man, and with that scouting, that's one thing that was a huge benefit about this Vulture drop, is he got to see that the Reaver was about to pop out, so we already have a Wraith coming down, and if he loses that shuttle with the Reaver, that might be game right there.
Yeah, for sure. I really like this Wraith as a response, and that's nice to see Casper adapting. And I also like that he's taking his command center. A lot of players get into this mode where kind of they want to keep harassing. They've made this dropship, and they're going to get a benefit from it. But he's kind of switching it up. Got a second factory with add-on coming now, and he's probably going to switch into more standard factory play. But it's really, I'm really interested to see what happens with this Reaver.
Oh, the Wraith!
Oh, it's flying right into the Wraith!
Oh my god, he gets a few shots off, and ooh, the Wraith wasn't quite microed away too early, and as you know, Wraiths take like 500% damage from every unit, so it almost falls to the Dragoons. But I'm not so sure I like this siege placement. There's one tank hanging back in the main, and I don't know if it's going to be able to do too much damage. I mean, all the tanks are on the high ground, so that's a nice benefit. But, I mean, you need to be really careful as Terran here. Oh, that Reaver shot! Did you see that? All the SCVs were clustered right there at the natural expansion. I mean, as Fenix, you can just kind of happily roll back after a nice win like that.
I'm surprised Casper isn't getting in here with the Wraith. The shuttle has been hanging around by this ramp, or by this cliff. There's been a lot of opportunities with good Wraith micro to get some shots on that, and that's going to make Casper... or excuse me, Fenix a lot more uncomfortable about moving in. Dragoon's now pushing up. I don't think this is necessary unless he's trying to finish the game with some sort of Reaver Bulldog. Reaver's out. Wraith is down. This is a lot of trouble now. Reaver gonna get another shot, and now this shuttle has impunity flying around that base. There's only the Marine to bother him, and he's headed straight for that SCV line. You gotta unsiege. You gotta get back there, man.
Oh my god, the command center is falling at the front. This is an... Oh, the Reaver falls, though, with a beautiful tank shot. That sort of, you know, humorously, awkwardly placed tank right there at the south of Casper's main managed to just, you know, be the money shot that killed off that Reaver. I mean, almost certainly Fenix thought that he could drop and get at least a few SCV kills, but instead just drops and dies immediately. So, at the very least, Casper's going to have the opportunity to, you know, have a little bit of a let-up on that aggression. But we see that, we are getting an extra dropship from Casper's starport, so he's probably going to be doing some really sexy harassment right up there outside the natural expansion of Fenix.
The unfortunate thing for Casper here is he hasn't put down an engineering bay, so everything he's doing is right over this observer. So Fenix is seeing literally everything that's going on. He's seeing these two tanks on siege. Oh, they're going to a dropship. So, I mean, anything that you're trying to do that's a little bit sneaky, he's watching you do it. So I really don't expect these two dropships to work out too well.
Yeah, and look at Fenix already positioning everything beautifully. Looks like dropships will back up just a little bit, but, you know, if he was able to drop on that high ground plateau, I still think he'd do quite a bit of damage. Looks like he was trying to do a little trickaroo, and he is ending up unloading right here. Let's see if he can do some damage. I mean, that shuttle with Reaver is up, so I'm not so sure.
Right, and Fenix hasn't cleared out these neutral power generators, which is a little bit of a mistake. He doesn't have good access there. Now the mine's getting set up by Casper. Here comes the Reaver. I would have liked to see a Dragoon in that shuttle as well. Looks like he's coming back for it. In the meantime, losing a lot of probes to this tank, losing his assimilator. Looks like there's going to be a bit of a flank here from the low ground, and the Reaver coming in from the high ground. Mine going off, the Reaver taking the brunt of the damage, but it looks like this is going to be cleaned up. One tank down, the second tank is going to be down. Now the Reaver's just going to have a field day here cleaning everything up.
Oh man, he did manage to do pretty decent damage. I mean, he only lost the two tanks. And he did end up taking out Dragoons and some probes and putting pressure on his opponent. I mean, he might, you know, it might benefit him to just keep pressuring that expansion. I'm not so sure. I mean, already, you know, if you can keep your Protoss opponent just to these three bases for long enough, I think you're going to be in a comfortable position as Terran.
But as this is Andromeda, you know, just a general point about the map, the longer the game goes, the better it is for Protoss. That's how we always think. Once the mobility of Protoss kicks in and the Arbiters and they're running around recalling everything, you know, it just becomes a nightmare. And they're casting, you know, the spell that kills everything, as we saw in Noni against Hydra. So I think we're kind of seeing flashbacks to game 1 where Casper came out of the early game a little bit ahead, but he's just slowly falling farther and farther back.
And you know, that's one thing I do kind of like about this map in particular, is the fact that there's that center expansion. It, you know, gives a nice opportunity if the Terran's able to push sort of slowly forward. You see a big vulture drop running right in, planting mines, and just beelining for the back mineral patch. Oh my god, look how many probes are going to fall here. Oh, but there's... Oh, too many mines were laid. I really think some shots would have been good from those vultures to do some serious probe damage, but a lot of mines being laid. Really uncomfortable movement patterns to deal with now in the main. Oh, some Dragoons take some serious damage from those mines. And, you know, even though not too many probes were killed directly, I still think it was a pretty good drop done there by Casper. He was able to get the back to stop mining for quite a bit.
Yeah, it definitely could have been better with a few shots on the probes, but it looks like Fenix just, you know, said, I'm just going to A-move back. And look at this, 3 DTs in the main of Fenix. It worked last time, or excuse me, in the main of Casper, it worked last time, why not do it again, the old 3 DT drop. And looks like he's going to do the same sort of thing, just going in, harassing the add-on. And again, no Academy, late Academy, so he's going to lose these 2 add-ons unless he can throw down quick turrets. And again, he's loading the dropships right in vision of Fenix.
You know, it's kind of funny. I feel like we're, you know, back in 2001, you know, sometime late 1990s, because we're seeing a starport to deal, or excuse me, that science vessel to deal with the DTs. You know, it's so funny. That's one of the earliest ways people dealt with DTs was just, oh, I'll just rush for science vessels and then I'll be able to see them, you know. But nowadays people just use mines and scan mostly, and occasionally turrets in defensive positions, but an ultra fast science vessel coming out there for Casper. I'm really interested to see what he's going to end up doing with that science vessel. See if he's going to get some sort of fast EMP, or whether he was just using it for detection.
Also, I feel it's a little bit strange that he's continuing with these 2 dropships, because when people get stuck in drop play, there kind of comes this point where it's not doing anything anymore, especially only with 2 dropships. Yeah. And look at this, he's flying right into 4 Dragoons. Is the first dropship going to get taken out? Yes, it gets taken out. Oh, that's so unfortunate. But there's a few mines here that's going to give him a little bit of control, but he's getting sandwiched right in here. Reaver! Oh, it gets landed to fuse the mine. Not taking damage from the mine. That's so nice. And
the other
those drops all for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Just no damage done. That's just, oh, brutal. You see some vultures running around middle trying to get some strongholds somewhere else. I mean, when you're in this position as Casper, I mean, it's kind of hard to lose anytime soon just because the turtling is so nice on those 3 bases in the main. But it's going to be really hard to win.
Yeah, for sure. And we see at 9 o'clock another base going up. Fenix is kind of getting in that mode where, okay, I have enough probes, I'm just going to make a lot of gateways and a lot of stuff, and we can see that's exactly what he's doing, just filling his main with as many gateways as will fit there, getting a second forge. He's got basically every tech he wants up, just finishing with the Arbiter Tribunal, and I really feel like he's just going to get to this point where there's nothing Casper can do. He can sit in his main, but the second he steps out of his main, he's just going to get like sandwiched back into his main over and over and over.
Yeah, EMP is getting research from that science vessel. Looks like Casper's trying to do one of these sort of unusual mid-game timing pushes. Looks like he's comfortable enough heading out. I'm curious where he's going to try to set himself up, because, you know, when you have this few tanks, you need to rush somewhere, set up, and then sort of slow push from there. So it looks like he is going for the natural expansion first.
But just look at how many units Fenix has. I think 1A, 2A, 3A is going to be more than enough to handle this. Fenix just getting set up. He's going to set up an arc around these units and then crash in. This time, Casper's push looks better than the first game. He's getting those mines set up, really taking advantage of the vultures this time, whereas last time he just used them as a meat shield.
Yeah, really nice organization there, planting a lot of mines. I would like to see even more mines being planted, though, because, you know, first of all, mines are totally sweet. And also because, you know, they're not as dumb as scarabs, so you don't need to worry so much about that. But it's going to be kind of difficult now for Fenix to really surround that. He's just going to have to basically throw units and an EMP at the front. Ooh, man, that's going to be a nice little benefit. And the science vessel's almost at 100 mana again, so we'll be able to cast maybe 2 MPs throughout the course of this attack. Uh-oh, here comes the big push. Ooh, looks like Fenix backs off at the end, though.
Yeah, there was just a little, you know, nice little love tap there from the Vulture, and that drew all the units in. Now a few tanks getting kind of jammed in the way. Vulture's moving out another EMP on a big group of units at the 9 o'clock, and Fenix being pushed back just by basically aggressive play and nice EMPs. And one thing I want to say about Casper's play is suddenly he's rallying very well. I don't know if he's reset his rally points or he's manually bringing these units in, but they're streaming in very quickly out of those factories.
Yeah, only one with add-on though. You really got to keep those tanks alive. And we saw 3 tanks fall. Looks like Fenix is moving in now. Oh my god, just hitting this from all sides. There's only 5 tanks at the back, and there's not too many vultures, but a lot of those units have been EMP'd. Beautiful storm. Another EMP down, but Fenix just has so many units.
Yeah, and that was the one timing for Casper, and I mean, he really did it as well as he could have. He set up that push, he rallied very well, he was aggressive with his EMPs, aggressive with his vultures, but we just see he's given up so much in the mid game that there's nothing he can do to Fenix. Fenix just streaming out of these almost 10 gateways, and he's going to go up to more gateways soon, and once he reinforces with arbiters and starts dancing around the map, you know, what can you do as Casper other than turtle and pray?
Yeah, I mean, you see how Fenix is taking the safest route possible. He right after that push, he didn't try to run into the main to do more damage. He instead ran directly to that right expansion, the 3 o'clock expansion, just to make sure that his opponent wasn't doing any sort of out-expanding during the middle of that push. And notice that Fenix is just comfortably hanging back, almost doubling Casper's food, but that's exactly what you want to do when you're in Protoss in this situation, is you just want to make sure you don't end up losing any sort of big lead you have. And we see a bazillion vultures running out to the middle of the map. And Fenix, though, very calm, just pulls off all those probes that were transferring to that top expansion.
Yeah, and just reinforcing the idea that Casper, oh, hold that thought, a lot of vultures going up, laying a lot of mines, I like this. They're going to take out the cannons very quickly just because there's so many vultures. But at this point, he's not going to be able to kill the Nexus. There's no probes there for him to take care of. It's nice that he's drawing Casper's army, or excuse me, Fenix's army away, but to what end, really? Maybe he will get the Nexus, actually. It looks like Fenix is a little bit slow to respond, waiting for observers or zealots to take the pain. That Nexus going down pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I really would like to see some more mines getting laid down, and he does have a few extra ones there. Oops, mine backfired from one of those zealots. But yeah, just trying to keep those Dragoons off as long as possible. We see most of the Vultures now not shooting the Nexus. Probably could have been able to take it down, but they weren't target firing. They were instead trying to do damage to that pylon. It looks like that Nexus is barely gonna live.
Yeah, and but if we look, Fenix is maxed. He's taking the inside expansion as well. If that had gone down, he'd just build another Nexus. So really not too much of a huge deal there. We see this is a throwback to old school play with the almost 18-minute armory. Finally, the double armory is kicking in. 1-0 for Casper. Let's take a look at Fenix. He's also at 1-0, but he's working off 2 forges. But really, Protoss are in this modern day of PvZ, Protoss upgrades aren't as big a deal as Terran, if you want to play this kind of late game style.
Yeah, I do really like getting early upgrades as Protoss. I always think it's pretty sweet. I'm trying to remember a game. I think it was actually Iris versus Bisu on Byzantium 3, where Bisu just got like these super early double armories, and he ended up doing like way more damage in a lot of situations that he could have, or I should say that he should have. But you know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that super late armory, because this was like the standard time to get upgrades. You know, Terrans just hated getting upgrades in the past. They'd always let their gas just rack up so high because they found out that they could actually make vultures and push quickly.
I'm not really sure what Casper is doing here. He's pushing forward just enough that it's dangerous, but to no end. Maybe he's trying to work towards that 3 o'clock expansion, but it doesn't look like that's what he's going for. Now a dropship headed to the top left. Looks like there's a tank and 2 Goliaths in there, just going to rain down on the probes. That's going to be a little bit annoying, but not really going to be that much of a big deal for Fenix. But it's these little moves that you have to do to get back into the game while you slowly push to get another expansion and basically just wait for Protoss to screw up and throw his army away. That's really your only chance to get back in this if you're Casper.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, that's something that's always really nice to do. You know, if you're a little bit behind, just to turtle as hard as you possibly can this Terran, and just try to take some additional expansions. We see that Casper's now playing really safe. He has tons of turrets at the bottom side of his base. We see a science vessel there ready to EMP anything that comes along. I mean, Casper's doing a pretty damn good job macroing. I mean, keeping his money super low, but still not taking that 3 o'clock expansion. I mean, I guess he's going to try to do a max 2-1 push, I would guess, maybe. But, I mean, take that friggin' expansion, man. It's free.
Yeah, what, you don't like money? What's wrong with you? And we can see Fenix likes money. He's sitting at 6.5K, and that's skyrocketing as he's maxed. He's basically just out of real estate. He needs to like throw down 1,000,000 gateways at the top left, and then once that happens, Casper is going to be out of options because it's just like the armies are going to trade. It's going to take 10 minutes for Casper to get back in, and then it's going to take like 1 minute for Fenix to replenish his army. So I think the only style here is, like you said, just camp that 3 and pray.
Yeah, man, just start screaming one time. Try to get the money to come in and just hope it, It's kind of funny. If I didn't see that Fenix was maxed, I would honestly think this replay is bugged. Fenix is at like 8K, 1,500. That is so much money. Like you were saying, the biggest issue that Fenix has to deal with is where do I get the room to build all these gateways I can afford to build out of? Fenix is doing the smart thing. He's swinging around top to try to put pressure on the 3 o'clock expansion, but it's not there, so I think you're going to feel pretty safe as Casper.
Yeah, and some people might be wondering, like, what the hell is Fenix doing? Why isn't he just attacking? Well, in a big tournament for a lot of money, this is the right style to play. If this is, if this is what you're comfortable at. You've won the game, why throw it away by just ramming into the Terran army? Play safe, get your spellcasters out, work on your upgrades, and then finally when you trade armies, your infrastructure's all set up. You just got waves of units coming in, that old 1A, 2A, 3A finisher.
The first time I ever saw something like this was on a game I go on between Boxer and Reach, where Reach clearly was in this unbelievable lead, and he did exactly this. He just, took his half of the map, he actually took most of the map, built a bazillion gateways, and just sat there. Because if you think about it, if you're in Fenix's position, High Templar drop at 3 o'clock, all it manages to do is take out that SCV. But, nothing too big. But still figured out, mention it, haha. But, it's so psychologically wearing to be in Casper's position. I mean, look at Casper, trying to keep his money low, still not maxed yet, struggling to hold that 3 o'clock expansion. We see the command center had to get canceled at the 3 o'clock. And Fenix is just, happily moving giant masses of units around the map, building gateways, and still having time to alt-tab and check his Facebook status.
Fenix isn't even making units at this point. He's got a 20 supply gap underneath his 200 that he could make something in, but it looks like he just wants to keep options open. If suddenly Wraith come out and you want...
in the bottom left.
Oh, is he? I think that's a little bit unnecessary, but...
Yeah. Well, when you're running out of room for the gateways because you have units popping out, you may as well just build the Stargates since they make flying units. Makes macroing all the easier. Well, here we do see an Arbiter coming in the north side, hopefully doing some sort of recall. This is a perfect time to do it. Frees up food for those carriers, pulls back the Terran push, and here's the recall right there on the Mineral Natural Expansion. We see a High Templar, 3 High Templar coming out of that shuttle, doing tons of damage with the storms at that ramp. And I mean, if Fenix can do any, even slight damage here, it will help him so much.
Yeah, so many storms on the ramp, making this so cost-effective. EMP going off, finishing the storms now. But, all this damage is so annoying for Casper. He's got to pull all his units back. And what I would like to see is the rest of Fenix's army coming in and just cleaning up 3 o'clock to make sure it's not there. So the thing we're going to see here is that Fenix is going to okay, look at that, he is remaxed. And Casper is going to take a long time to get back up to maxed again. So as we're saying, this is a really good, if you can trade anything, if you're Fenix, to kind of even up the supply gap, that's a good move for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the key to defeating any sort of max Terran army, is just to figure out a way to throw units at him while you can keep on expanding. And recalls are great because it draws all those units back. You can occasionally take out some key tech structures. I mean, now Terran has to waste all this time rebuilding extra depots. We see that one of those armories fell when it was really close to getting that +2 armor upgrade. So, any big maxed push that Casper was planning on doing, that plan's a little bit dented right now. And still, the 3 o'clock expansion is not up. Rah!
Yeah, that's one of the big mistakes here. And looking back, I mean, Phoenix is in full carrier production now. He's got almost no ground army. It looks like he's rallying units out of the top left, but looks like Casper finally ready to push. Maybe either towards 3 o'clock, or maybe he's gonna try to push towards top left. But I like to see at this point where he just won a big battle. I like to see activity. So he's gonna need to go somewhere, and this is a really nice timing for him.
Yeah, I mean, Casper's just almost dead broke right now. I mean, he's probably going to have to lift a command center to really take that right expo. Also in this position, I actually kind of prefer to just keep massing ground units as Fenix, because carriers can sometimes come back to bite you in the ass, especially if your opponent has, like, super good macro with the Goliaths. I mean, in this game, it doesn't matter too much, because, he knows his opponent's almost out of money. We see some long-range mining going on.
I'm surprised how many probes Phoenix still has. It might be time to sacrifice a few of those. Carriers are now coming up. A lot of those don't have enough interceptors. I don't know if the Goliath range upgrade was ever upgraded, but I'm going to hope it was. Only a few Goliaths here. EMP going off on the carriers, hitting quite a few of them, but he really needs to reinforce this with Goliaths, or he's going to have everything picked off. Looks like he's decided he's committed, and he's just attacking top left. Some units streaming towards 9. He's going to do some damage here, but to what end? He's going to kill some probes, maybe some expansions, but he needs to get 3 o'clock, and the command center is finally just starting now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that he's actually pushing the left expansion, because that's the one that's almost mined out, and really, if Phoenix loses all those probes, he's kind of like, awesome, and then he just selects his Stargates, hits C a bunch of times, and then cannot lose ever, no matter what. You see those carriers just cleaned up that little push that was trying to go to the top left expansion. Casper trying to do some damage here at the left, but I don't know if he's going to be able to pull anything out of this one.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting a little bit lazy, leaving units around. They're not sieged up, they're not laying mines, and, they're just being left to die here at the hands of these carriers, which are now +2.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is a great example of how you can play unorthodox if you want. You can do all this great dropship harass right at the natural expansion. You can do these really cute transitions to fast science vessels to get super fast EMP, but you just gotta get really solid execution. That's the sort of big issue we see. I mean, right now, Casper, he's trying to do as best he can with these units to get in there, but I mean, when your opponent already has a full control group of carriers, it just can't really do anything.
Yeah, I think that's something we see a lot, is people have these, like, crazy builds and crazy cheeses planned out, and they work, like, 90% of what they were supposed to do, and then there's no transition whatsoever, and the player ends up losing his advantage little by little. So the really nice cheeses and the really nice unorthodox styles are really well thought out, and players are constantly transitioning, constantly moving, and they always have something else ready to go. And we see this command center at 6 o'clock finally got taken, but gets shut down very quickly. And there's the GG from Casper. He is now down 0-2.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like the worst to be down 0-2 in the way that Casper ended up losing them, because I mean, it was a lot of little glitches along the way. I mean, like you said, in game 1, he like mannered himself with a supply depot. He couldn't build that extra comm set. In this game, he forgot like his supply on 18 food and his supply at 26 food. That's the sort of stuff that you need your hands to remember. You can't rely on just having trying to put all your let me try it one more time. That's the sort of thing you need your hands to remember. You can't try to overthink things too much in the early game, because I mean, so much of your brain is devoted to trying to make yourself not nervous, in that stage of the game.
Yeah, and there's always kind of the duality of discussion here between the smart players and people call them the robots, who have very nice hands, but maybe they don't know what they're doing. And in this day and age, we need a bit of both. So I really like watching Casper in that I think the stuff he does and the timings where he does this weird stuff is very nice, but he just doesn't have enough of that solid foundation.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited to see Shaman versus Mondragon next, because Mondragon, I mean, he's known for being, very solid, but also really creative with a lot of his play. I mean, it's really easy to just watch a replay blind and to go, oh, that has to be Mondragon, because only he, plays that sort of style. But he has that, that solid foundation. Same way with Shaman. Shaman's just a very straight up good player. So, after that, I'm really excited to see, after this best of 5, to see right after this we're doing Mondragon against Shaman.